Okay, I think we're good. Okay, I'll ignore that screen there. Yeah. Okay, good evening, everybody. As John said, my name is Raymond Russell. I'm the CTO of Corvil. Unfortunately, I didn't fly in just for this. I actually came over to New York about 3 years ago, and I loved it so much I haven't left since. So I'm working on becoming a true New Yorker. This evening, going to give you a quick demonstration of our platform Corvil Net. But just before I dive into it, some little bit of background. So Corvil, we're an Irish company. We're headquartered in Dublin, but we have sales offices in New York, London, and Tokyo. And that's because our primary focus is on supporting the electronic trading business. So who are we? Well, we're used by the world's largest banks, exchanges, and service providers to monitor the IT systems that run today's global capital markets. And what we do in a nutshell is we enable businesses to trade faster and more securely on today's electronic markets. We do things like we measure transaction and market data latency. We quickly detect faults and help resolve them. We get early warnings of various threats and alert those out. And another key thing that we do is help demonstrate compliance of the IT systems. So that's very important for, particularly for the exchanges. Just to give you a quick glimpse at our reference clients, we have quite a list of reference clients. They place a lot of trust in Corvil Net, and hopefully I'll be able to illustrate why that is. And in turn, it's for us, it's a great honor to support these clients. We have a very strong partnership with them. So talk a little bit about what problems we solve. So there's a range of different problems in nature, and I'll refer to some of them as we go through, but I wanted to focus in on a particular set of problems and illustrate them in a little bit more depth. So for example, one typical use case for the deployment of our solution would be in an electronic brokerage. And the kind of questions that they have that we help them tackle and address are, so first of all, which clients are sending order flow to me? So I'm the broker. I'm providing market access and execution services for my clients. So where's my business coming from? Who's spending with me today? Then in turn, where am I sending that order flow out for execution? Where am I routing it to? What are my algorithms doing with it? And where it starts to get very interesting, where the rubber really hits the road, is starting to tackle the questions of what experience do my clients have trading through me? How successful am I at filling the orders for them? How quickly am I doing it? So one of the kind of key developments that's taken place in electronic trading over the last few years is the fact that there's been a huge investment in trying to lower the latency, to increase the performance. So there's a whole range of styles of trading called high performance trading, high frequency trading, that's really come to dominate, in particular in the equities markets. And so there's been a huge investment in trying to be faster, to beat competition, to lifting trading opportunities, and then in turn for brokers to provide the infrastructure that can actually execute at the speeds necessary. And then in turn that flows down to the exchanges, and they've invested hugely in upping their infrastructure to deal with both the massive increase in volume in quotes, and also just to try and execute those trades faster. So there's a whole range of questions related to that very simple question of how quickly am I executing. And then other questions like how are my counterparties behaving? How are the different exchanges that I'm connecting to actually servicing me in executing those orders? So this is the kind of questions that the brokers have that we help them tackle when we deploy our system. And in particular, there's a couple of key questions that have come up in response to, or as a development of, the speed, the increase in speed. So everybody's spent a number of years investing enormously in making sure that their trading systems are running faster, that they can execute quickly, and that's great. If you're able to trade successfully at speed, the faster you can trade, obviously the more quickly you can rake in that profit. But the problem is, what happens when things go wrong? And these systems become enormously complex. We've seen a whole bunch of flash crashes where People don't really understand what happens, but certainly suddenly the price, for some reason, for unknown reason at the root of it, just suddenly fluctuates wildly. Or what happens if your trading algorithm goes wrong and it starts to send out orders in an uncontrolled fashion and is trading the wrong side of the market? Precisely because you've created these systems that can execute extremely fast. When things go wrong, you can lose an awful lot of money very, very quickly. So kind of the key questions that are coming to the surface now are questions around, well, how exposed am I in the markets? Really, am I seeing all of the exposure that's developing, and how quickly am I seeing or how quickly are my positions being filled, and am I actually capturing all of that? Is that being captured in my risk system? So let me just show you briefly a quick demo of Corvil Net in operation in electronic trading infrastructure. So this is a dashboard from one of our appliances from Corvil Net. And in the main panel here, whoops. Uh-oh. I've just killed everything. Sorry.
It got unplugged.
No, yeah. Just when we get to the good bit. Let me just toggle this.
There you go.
Whew. Okay. I won't move. I'll just point. So in the middle panel there, basically what we're looking at is a topology diagram of of the electronic trading infrastructure. So basically, on the left-hand side, you have connections from clients and maybe some internal market-making groups. In the middle, you have the electronic brokerage taking in all of that order flow, making decisions about how to execute it, where to route it, and so on. And then on the right-hand side, we have connections out to different exchanges. And what we're doing is we're capturing all of the order flow in this environment. We're doing things like, let me just switch this over to live mode so we can see a little bit more dynamically what's going on. We can do things like measure the response times that we're seeing. We can have a look at the details of orders, cancels, and cancel to order ratios, so we can see how what way the trading system is actually behaving, how it's actually executing in detail. If we want to, we can drill into the details and have a look at the actual underlying data here. And so pretty easily we can jump into a detailed view and get an understanding and a view of all of the orders, all of the execution reports that are going back and flowing back and forth across between the broker and the counterparty. So we have, you can get a high-level view from the topology. You can get a dynamic, updating sense of various key parameters within the environment, and you can also get the details of all the underlying order flow. Here there are some timestamps here that we're taking. One interesting question is, where are those coming from? Well, what I didn't mention so far was the way that we deploy. So Corvil Net is a system that taps into the network. So typically, if you have a risk system, it'll depend on plugging into the trading systems and maybe getting a drop copy, being explicitly told or delivered a copy of all of the trading activity, or maybe picking up a drop copy from the exchange. But in this case here, we're completely passive. We're not asking for anything, we're just simply tapping into the network and helping ourselves to all of the data there. This turns out to be absolutely critical for this risk use case. So let me just jump back into the presentation here. So the thing is, what is so special about the network? Well, the thing is that it turns out to be the place to see your business, because any transactions must go over the network. That's how you actually connect to the exchanges. That's how your clients connect to you. So the thing is that if you look at the traditional model for risk systems, like I said, they depend on being provided with a copy. They're basically opt-in. So a good analogy, I'm going to steal an analogy made by our VP of Product Management. He's great at coming up with these analogies. I'm too much of a technologist. He said it's a bit like, supposing in the airport, what if airport security was a little desk over at the back? and that if you're honest, you go up and present yourself to security and get screened for going onto the plane. That would never work. The thing is that the way security is implemented has to be a physical barrier. You have to ensure that everybody who's getting onto the plane goes through security. And so using an opt-in mechanism, as traditional risk systems do for risk monitoring, is a bit like having the security desk at the side. If you're honest, you'll go and declare yourself, but what we do is we provide monitoring and visibility right at the point where you gain access to the exchange. So the thing is that if somebody sends out an order and it doesn't go over the network where we can see it, then it doesn't matter, because it's not going out to the exchange. You're not establishing a position and so on. And so from this you get all kinds of benefits flow down. The thing is that we provide a comprehensive record of all of the trading. As I mentioned, we're non-intrusive, but perhaps most importantly, we're authoritative and provide an independent view of what's going on in the environment. Just one final glimpse at a dashboard within Corvil. The other thing that we can do is, because we're comprehensive, we're seeing all of the trading activity, no matter where it's coming from going to. We can provide integrated dashboards. We can provide a view in terms of, like I mentioned, some of the questions are, where is your order flow coming from? How much volume are each of your different clients sending you? So we have dashboards for that. You can also drill into the details of exactly what's going on. Oops, let me just come back and pull up. We can also provide aggregated views that are live, showing all of the different order types that are being submitted by your different clients. But we can also pull out and summarize all of the dollar values that are being traded. So the thing is that we can provide complete visibility in a completely independent fashion into all of the order flow. A lot of our customers will use these dashboards, these lenses that can summarize and slice and dice the data in flexible ways, but we also have, obviously, we have APIs that can then feed that data out, so we can then become another source of information for, say, a traditional risk system. They can do cross-checking and ensure that they've actually captured everything that they think is going on in the environment. The other thing that I haven't mentioned here is by virtue of being plugged into the network, we can actually see all of the behavior that's going on the network. So we can provide visibility into how the network is behaving, how the applications are behaving, as well as all of the business view here. So what's not to like about Corvil Net? I'll leave it there. I want to leave time for some questions. Stunned silence.
Any stories of near disasters? How you guys saved it?
Our lips are sealed and those ones. That's the problem. It is actually. I mean, it's a sensitive enough area that we work in. And actually, again, part of the model, part of the way that we work is we're a vendor. So what we do is we provide equipment, we provide the appliances, and the operations teams in the banks or in the exchanges will actually take the equipment, plug it into the network. We'll train them on how to use it, and obviously we get involved in helping get them set up. But day-to-day operations lie in the hands of our customers. So the really interesting stuff we don't get to see.
So all the applications are obviously secure channels for communicating. So if you're just sniffing on the network, how do you figure out what's the order type and what the the transaction called for, how many dollars, etc.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that most in the electronic trading space, most of the data on the wire is unencrypted, partly for performance reasons, and then partly also because they achieve security through firewalls and physical separation and things like that. So it's most of the time it's not too much of an issue. There are times, there are environments where yes, things are carried over, or order flow is carried over SSL. If we're equipped with the server keys, with the SSL keys, then we can decrypt the stuff on the fly and provide the visibility that way. There are various challenges with that, but yeah, I mean, so we can do it, but typically we don't have to. So there was another question over here.
Is the application customized to users, or is there a certain commonality around the way it is used by? I see you have banks and exchanges, so I'm just wondering where you have to customize it and you stand up anywhere.
So there's a good deal of flexibility and extensibility in that we see lots of different wire protocol, so that there's all kinds of different ways that people choose to encode the messages between applications. Each exchange has its own optimized binary entry order protocol, for example. So we do have plugins that can be used to extend the platform and to provide visibility into a whole range of different protocols. However, they typically are, public protocols. They're ones that are actually used by both the banks and exchanges precisely because they're the mechanism by which they trade. So apart from, and internally sometimes you'll find people have their own wire protocols, and we provide an SDK that they can extend the platform themselves. But generally it's a single platform. In order to set it up and to install it and to commission it properly in an environment, there's some configuration, but that doesn't require any software changes. That's just soft configuration. We provide the training. So it's the same platform, basically, that's used in all of the different environments. Sorry, there was a question in the second row there. I know we kept on jumping over you. Sorry.
It would lead to 3 or 4 follow-on questions.
Well, maybe we can do it afterwards. We can follow up afterwards.
Is there a mobile version?
So no, there isn't, not yet. Typically, this ends up being used by operations staff within a desktop environment. I know some of our web developers would love to have a go at creating a mobile version, but we haven't gone there yet.
Okay. Has there been any talk of maybe moving further into the risk function and sort of building it so that a bank's own risk limits or risk algorithms get baked into the product?
We've looked at that, and instead, so it turns out to be, so we just kind of following on from the question a couple of times ago, we've been able to create a system that's very, very generic, and that we focus on being a product company, so that when we add features to the platform, it's something that every customer can use. However, the problem is that when you get into looking at the risk function it varies by business unit to business unit. So what we've actually done is we've created the platform in a way that there are APIs that all of the necessary data, all of the heavy number crunching is done up front, and then the appropriate summary data or detail, if they need it, is available to be fed into a business unit specific risk model. And we even host, we can host a virtual machine on our appliance as well, so that they can, if they have a risk engine or something, they can drop it onto our appliance and co-locate it with us. So that's the approach that we've taken. We haven't gone into specialized. It gets quite specialized, and it tends to be an area there's a lot of custom and development required.
One more.
Okay, one more question. No. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.